doing my links and then.
Are you winning?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna put this on my belt. I just wanna do my links. You go. Go. Sorry. Had a boss.
All right.
What's it called? Morning, Minister Johnny. Good to see you. Which is God, that's God. Yes.
So out of basically out of 9 stations, we're running 5, but for the 6
The background is gonna
maybe introduce Annette to Minister so that Annette can explain the station. Annette is the acting CEO of PRASA, our property division. So she's going to take you through the properties, stations in particular around this corridor, the extent to which they were affected by vandalism and theft, Minister. It's one of those corridors that were less affected, probably closer to what you've seen in the Southern Line, Minister. But I'll let Annette explain.
Morning. Good to meet you. Just in terms of Saulville, I think we were not as much affected. As you can see, so in front we built a retail center. It was completed just before COVID, and during the time that no trading happened, some of the tenants moved out. But also now with the trains not moving, we need to just reconfigure our tenant mix. But we now have a company in place to assist us with the retail and to filling it up. So that is on the one side. So what helped us is the fence that we've put up around the station, just to secure. And you can see that the station is actually very, very well looked after at this stage. So we need to paint and do, improvement, but at least it's not vandalized to that extent. We had a bit of the ablution facilities, that normally steal out those things, so we had to replace that. Atteridgeville, unfortunately, has been more vandalized than this one, and there's a big project that we need to upgrade the station there. So we are busy with the designs and just to fix that. And then the others are smaller stations, for instance, like Kalafong, also badly vandalized on this. If I say badly, there's not a facility, but it's a very small station, and it's actually considered as a halt from a Metro Rail perspective. And then on the others, you'll see some of them are intact, some of them are not. We are, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about on 5 or 6 stations that we really need to do some work around it. But we are at the point of appointing the contractors to start with the work to fix those up. So by end of May, June, we'll have functionality on those restored, and then about another month or 2, we'll have a proper facility in place. So for Atteridgeville, what we're planning is to actually put a container there. We will be going out now on free quotes, because it's a NSU, we call it a National Station Upgrade Program. So it takes a bit longer. So we'll get facilities there in the meantime, temporary facilities. That's what we're planning. We'll have that in May. That should be in place. Okay. Thank you.
So there are a few stations, Minister, in this area that we had identified as candidates for the for the container type stations. At Richville, at some point we had Kalafong there. That was going to be our showcase as well, Minister.
The space that we looked at is a bit also small and tight, just in terms of safety. But there's others that we're also looking at just to place that as a temporary measure while we're doing bigger work. Thank you.
Do you want to tell the Minister how many passengers we're transporting here, how many trips we're running here, on average, if you look at what we had before and what we have now, since we've improved in this area, what it looks like?
Good morning, Minister. The beauty of this particular corridor is that we have managed to actually run trains also during off-peak. So we are running trains all day long throughout, and we have managed to open all of our home stations whereby people are having access to economic opportunities by accessing industrial areas. You would note as we pass through that around the Pretoria West area, there are a lot of factories there, and it was the call of commuters to say we really need to be able to access that particular area. We are transporting at least 5,000 people per day, and throughout the day we are actually even seeing revenue picking up since we have started increasing the stopping stations in industrial areas. The biggest hurdle that we now have to deal with is obviously the connectivity into the other areas, like when we rehabilitate your Johannesburg, because most of the people that stay in Atteridgeville still works in Mamelodi. So connection for our people, including to the Mabopane line service, is what actually makes patronage to grow. So we know that there will be an inconvenience temporarily as we are rehabilitating the line, especially because we want a second line on electricity, and also we want to do away with the diesel service for Mamelodi. Temporarily, it will be a setback for our commuters, but what it will bring back, it will be actually much more. So we are happy because feedback that we are getting from our commuters, Minister, is that they thought that when you came to Mabopane previously, these trains were only for Mabopane. They were not meant for other South Africans or other lines within the Gauteng. So it is the hope that people have been looking for, and they are actually very excited to see this mode of transport being rolled out in Gauteng.
Okay. Hisham, you want to talk to the Minister around our focus to connect Pretoria and Joburg as we recover the corridors, part of the 10 corridors that we're recovering. So we've now taken Joburg to Pretoria as part of the corridor to recover, Minister. So we're bringing that in as an additional, just to make sure that that traffic that starts from the home stations in any of these other corridors within Pretoria lands up in Park Station as well, because that's where we see the patronage. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Good morning, Minister, Chair. I think just before I get to that, Group CEO, is I think on this line, as we can see, one of the lines is operational at the moment. In fact, it was the internal team that brought back this line in terms of the electrification. It was to the cost of approximately 10 million to bring back this one line with the internal teams. Obviously, going forward, we need to electrify the second line to increase the capacity on this corridor, so that we can run more trains. Part of that will also be some drainage issues that we will fix on this corridor that we are dealing with, especially with the heavy rains that we've had during summer. It has had an impact. In terms of the broader Gauteng, the connection between Joburg and Pretoria, which is a critical link between the two cities, we've moved quite significantly with the electrification projects, both the substations as well as the OHTE, where we're now busy with the awards on all of these corridors. Naledi to Joburg, Pienaarspruit to Pretoria. We're looking at the Park Pretoria to Kalfontein as well. And once we've got the OHTE and the substations up and running, we can start electrifying the line. There's one critical issue we need to address between Joburg and Park in the vicinity of Centurion, Pinetown, where we've seen there's some geotechnical conditions. We've had a number of sinkholes, which is obviously a huge risk to run services. We've even seen with the roads, with Sandal, they had the same problem with the sinkholes. So we're busy now, and we finalized the emergency group CEO to get a contractor in there to address the challenge with the sinkholes. I think Transnet has also contacted us because their trains also need to get through on that section, critical in terms of the motor industry and so forth. So that is in place, Chair. But I think what's critical is for us to get the substations, the electrical, the OHTE completed, so we can run electrified services and move away from the diesel, which is not only slow but also expensive to run from a diesel point of view. So the Naledi, Johannesburg, as I've mentioned, Pienaarspruit, Pretoria, Park, Pretoria to Kaalfontein, and also Larala is all part of the corridors that we want to accelerate and bring back with an electrified service. Thank you.
Okay. So in short, Minister, out of the 10 corridors that the President announced in his State of Nation address, this is the third one that you've come to witness and launched. We've got the fourth one as well, which is Northern Line. So we've got 4 that are now fully electrified. They're not fully recovered. As you can hear, there is a line that we need to increase the train trips. But we're running a service. Out of the 10, we've got 4 that are running. Over and above that, Minister, there are 3 where we're running diesel traction. It's not electrified. So you can argue that out of 10, we've got 7 running, 4 electrified, 3 with diesel. And Pienaarspruit, Naledi, Leralla, that's what we're busy with, electrifying now, so that we can go and put the new trains and the new technology in. Pienaarspruit ran.
And you guys allowed it to collapse.
It ran for a while, Minister.
It's running. Don't argue with me. You guys allowed it to collapse. Yes, I was on Pienaarspruit twice with the new trains. You guys allowed it to collapse. You allowed the vandalists and everything to collapse it. That's what I hate about PRASA. I hate it. We are in this train, we are recovering the line. Next week we are going to see 14 collapsed. I need a guarantee as we are capturing these corridors. Contingency plan. You can't talk about this without talking to security. Have you deployed security? And that is what is important. Because this work will be gone. You've got to build on this. What she's saying must be accompanied by, this is an integrated plan. You see, you telling me about Pienaarspruit like it's something new. Pienaarspruit was running proper and it was generating income. People were happy. I was there twice with them in the morning. Later on, you come and tell me that the story is different, it has collapsed, it is gone. Right in front of your eyes. Because if you run an operation and you are bringing back things in a messed up place like PRASA, you can't allow, it's like 2 months down the line will be here, Mabupane will be gone. So there is no follow-up. There is no integrated plan. Because when you fix here, you've got to deploy security and ensure that what you are building, because essentially the problem we're dealing with here is not modernization. It's not modernization. We're dealing with the challenge of a collapse system in our hands, which happened during COVID-19, level 5. Yeah. So we are unable to bring back even the old trains back to line because the lines are gone. You see, But over and above that, we do have a program called modernization. We are not even there. It's not like we're coming to open a new station here. We are recovering the lines. We must understand that. The lines that were running, that were collapsed at level because there was no security deployed to guard the lines, like clipped out. You can talk about those corridors. You see, so if I'm head of security, this man is head of tech, this is PRASA tech. You've got to look after PRASA properties in terms of the integrated plan. And that is it. And this service we're recovering is going to take us up to where? On the other side, we've got to implement the modernization program because you have the money there. If you recover this line, you are able to generate profit. It goes back to OPEX, okay? But at the present moment, everything collapsed, and we needed to bring this as fast as we can. You see.
Okay. So Minister, you are spot on and very right. We were behind. If we look at Mawopane, we had to recover and then bring security in. The same here. But out of the integrated security plan that we've got in place, you'll see Mawopane has not been vandalized. Since this one also, since we've been running, there has not been any incident as well on this line.
There will be. Because the service you run, in its very nature, is exposed. And it's open. The biggest threat and risk to this service of PRASA is the attack by syndicates. Because they want something that you've got. So it could be now, but it is. So the question of your security plan has got to be in such a way that it is advanced to respond to any attack that might actually emerge. It was said during level 5 to see vandalism happening right on our phones, daylight, and there was no response. You get what I mean? And that's what happened in this country. You see, there was no security, there was nothing. So you had security contracts that were irregular. You've got to bring regular security contracts because you can't operate in this place without security and then rely on the police to do this work. They are outnumbered. Then in the security plan, where do the police fit? That is what you need to basically address. You apprehend the criminals, you give them to the police, they are arrested and they get to be charged. But most of the time we arrest minnows. So you need an integrated plan that talks to intelligence. And at the same time to be able to deal with the root causes of where this thing comes from. Because when we're going around and then looking at the vandalism, and we went to the scrap metal, you saw how sophisticated the modus operandi of the criminals is in terms of the cables they steal from us. They are very valuable, these cables. I mean, they sell them at a higher price, not even here, out of the country. And then they get a lot of money. So our modus operandi and investment in security is going to be important. Not only that, if PRASA CRES is not moving, we will still be here. I was here when I talked to them before Nyameka left. The tanks that you are talking about. And the spending is too much for me. You know, it's too much. Because if you are using the model of the containers, you won't spend 10 million on revitalizing. It's too much. It's too much. Budget properly and you put your foot down. That model, you can resuscitate all the small stations. In a month, David, in a month, you can resuscitate. All what needs, this place needs leadership. It needs leadership, and you put your foot down. I can tell you, the model of Netherlands we paraded to you and said implement. In Netherlands, they are using containers. There is no criminal who can steal a container home. Properly designed, nicely done. It is not 10 million. It can't be. It can't be 10 million. With 10 million, you will probably resuscitate 7 to 10 in a corridor with these containers. You see, but everything has got to be inflated because people have got to make money. We can't allow that. We can't. But it needs you to put your foot down and then to be like this and say, no, this one, no. We can only take it at this. You see this, if it is a station, I don't know what it is. This thing can be up in no time with the containers. And then I can show you, can even go to Google and look at Netherlands and look at the model of containers. And I can tell you it is very cheap and proper. You see? There's no criminal who can steal a container and take it home. Nobody. They will fail.
They will fail.
Yeah. So we've got to be ahead. What do we need? Do we need state-of-the-art thing and all of that? When tomorrow you come, it is vandalized, it is gone, then you've got to spend. We need to spend money on making the trains run. And then get the substations and stations back on track on a cheaper rate. Okay? But yet, PRASA, we want to spend 10 million for every substation. 10 million station, 10 million station. Money is gone. By now, we should be having a plan to recoup from Tembisa to Soweto, all those stations. They will never be in their original state again. If it happens, it will happen through the modernization program. What is important is to get the service back on track. And then get the service guarded, and then that is it. Our people back on the trains. Because these trains, in no time, once the service is operating, they are going to be overcrowded. You see? So your team has got to be strategic and follow the line. You know, if I can ask between last year and now, and the new financial year, we should be far. That's what I said at Scopa, that I'm not happy. We should be far. When a person wake up and go to work, what do you do? This work that she's reporting to me, I can address that thing within a month. All the things that are remainder here. The only thing that must be an obstacle is that we don't have money. Okay? Then you can come to me and say, I need deviation, I want to do this. Then we go to Treasury and you get your deviation. You see? And then that is it. But a program to fix and get the trains back on track must be rigorous. Now we're talking about 10 corridors to the president as though we're doing something new. Corridors collapsed. We are resuscitating them. We should be talking about modernization. That's where we're going, modernization. The money we've got, modernizing this place. That is what we should be talking about. Winning back 10 corridors is like Make Me Nice program. That is the job we need to do, we should have done. If we go back to the corporate plan and look at the time frames, you will see that we have missed. How do we miss the time frames to get the trains back?
Okay. Annette, you can hear the minister. It's quite clear.
Why should we keep people who are not helping us at PRASA? Why should we? You have guys there with nice looking and all of that, and ladies and all of that, but they are not helping the company. You guys are still talking about Lucky Montana. Lucky Montana will never come back here. Whoever has left will never come back. They are fighting in courts and all of that. It's in your heads. In courts and all of that, it's in your heads. We've got to make this thing work, and the board must put its foot down so that we meet the deadlines. And that is what is important. You see? And this encourages, but I think, look, we can do more. We can do more. It's encouraging. We can do more. We can do more. The service must be back. You know, when you get those things they call the long trains, the locomotives, back. Also, we need to move with speed. It's April now. Some of the things we said we'll have achieved by March. if we get down to business in the war room, we should. And then there must be justification. Let's stop fighting over petty things. Let's fight over work. That you are responsible for the following. You are not delivering. I don't think you are adding value to what I'm doing. To me, PRASA is not a bigger problem like ESCOM. ESCOM is a disaster, bigger problem. We can resolve PRASA. If we roll up our sleeves and we are serious, we can resolve PRASA. With everybody in their posts, we can, and we should, and move with speed. If I'm assigned this task, there must be a reason why certain things are not happening. By end of June, July, we will be very far with the revitalization program and so on. And on the other hand, you need capacity to spend money on capital projects and start to implement in earnest vigorously the modernization program, which has been crippled largely by corruption. State capture. Shifambo is a modernization program, right? The only program of modernization that is moving is the one of these new trains. Gibela. It's perfect. You're moving with that. And then you've got that one of Siangen. It's corruption. You see. We are still in court with those people back and forth. Those are modernization projects that collapsed precisely because of corruption. Okay? So, put that aside and many others, station upgrade and all of that, deal with this program of getting the lines back. Because trains, since which year? For the first time they stopped at level 5. And then when they stopped the trains, then criminals were doing as they wish, even stealing useless things. I mean, when you steal and vandalize a station like this, for what good purpose? You see, that's what happened at level 5. And then they trashed this place in terms of cables network. The stealing of cables has always been an Achilles heel. For PRASA, for ESCOM, for everybody. For city power, for everybody. Yeah. And then it is an internal job. It's a security matter that needs your security, not machingilan. Security. Okay? People who understand intelligence, who understand how to prevent this before it happens, put it intact and run. Security. You have been employing security. All what they are good at is to dish contracts. Yes, is to dish contracts. Oh, Zamzala, Bambezela, Diachi, Masidle, Span. No security company, okay, Nibangapini 10, Masi. You need security. South Africa has got security company. I'm a police the capacity. Nifunayo. Akanayo. But police can work with you to arrest people. Integrated staff who's got intelligence and everything in it. Security proper. Proper, you pay people and then you see value for money. Value for money. This is not what we've been seeing in this company. Value for money, nothing. I went to Park Station, I saw pipes, everything ran down when there was security inside. Nothing happened. So this work is encouraging. That's what I'm saying to you. It's very encouraging. Every time I wake up and I say, let's go to the next station and all of that, I believe we can do it within a fixed period of time. Let's not keep ideas and everything else. I know there are difficulties, issues of capacity. Let's address those things. It can't take us the whole year to bring back service, back to operation. The whole year. We brought somebody here to become a CEO. It was fine, but it didn't work. And I don't want to talk about it. I'm not there. So, things have got to move. We need leadership. Leadership. Put our foot down. Deadlines must be met. And that is it. At PRASA, we are spending a lot of time on useless things. Nonsense. Yeah, nonsense. Not on bringing back the service and all of that. We're spending a lot of time on absolutely zilch. If it is not somebody's trying to steal in the corner, somebody's trying something in that particular corner, then they gossip, they lie and all of that. When you want them at work, you won't find them. They tell you this, they tell half, they tell you this, half. You don't get a leadership that says, Minister, by May, I'm telling you, CEO is here, I want my things to be done by May, this thing and that thing will be up. Why can't we have a management like that? Why? The CEO is holding me back. I want this thing to be running by December. But I can tell you the truth, this cannot be achieved within this period and this time. But I'm working very hard to ensure this and that. And if people below you are not doing their job, you chuck them out. You are not helping us on this. But people are moving like this. Snail, you know, it's not going to help us. At some point, we need to look at the problem. Is the problem management? Is the problem what? We are coming here, we support, we all the time give support, you know. But we don't get the same result. Huh?
Minister, I think the team has heard. You've got it yourself. Sense of agency and focus. And Chair, missing the deadlines. It's quite clear, Minister. We get that. And we thank you for the encouragement as well.
So we have arrived.
Yes, we have to change station.
This way we jump off.
Yeah. We're going to do the meeting.
Okay.
The media briefing straight up.
Then we can do it. Yeah.
Sorry? Yeah, it's on. Just put it. Just put it. No, he's speaking from here.
Let's just put it.
Right.
Must we put this on already? You can test it, it's on.
Mountain View, Stimela Banabedis, Seymour Hercules, Banianco, 0011, Stimela, Seymour, Platform 4. Panamedi, Riskera Levalang, Milauya, COVID-19, Dinakaufena, Pretoria Station, Balianco, Saulville, Balianco, Mabopani, Panamedi, Riskera Levalang, Milauya, COVID-19, Aria Brendi face mask, Liditimena Tarona, Alita Mayamoni platform, Riskera Tulani face mask, maintaining social distance, the sanitizer matter of Panamedi, Vidatanangani premises, Tarona, PRASA Metro Rail, Balianco, Saulville, Balianco, Galafong, Anamening, more platform 4. Saulville, Stimela, Seymour, platform 4, Panamedi Bama Bupari, Stimela, Seymour, Hercules, Ninakaufela, Lianco Mabupari, Panamedi Stimela, Seymour, Hercules, Panamedi Balianco, Saulville, Balianco, Galafong, Stimela, Seymour, platform 4. Saulville, Stimela, Seymour, platform 4, Panamedi Gaufena, Balianco, Galafong, Dalianco, Saulville, 0011, Imo, platform 4, Stimela, 10 o'clock, La Gaufena, Lianco, Galafong, Anamening, more platform 4.
Oh, this is the
We're going to do the media briefing soon. You can start. This train is not leaving. It's leaving at 10. So, yeah? Briefings, yeah, like now, you are ready. Is that what you say? I'm saying it might be soon. But it's not going to make noise. Remember?
Even if I'm here, I'm still blue. Even now,
The announcement, yes. No, I switched them off. I told them to. Yeah, let's just ask people not to do.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to go to the last part of the program. I'm going to call upon the Minister for the media briefing. He is going to take questions and answers as well.
The chair and welcome, and then the MEC.
Okay. We are going to start, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to wait for a few people to arrive. If you can settle down and move a little bit closer so that we can start with the media briefing.
Ketonian, how are you? Welcome to Gauteng. Welcome. I must welcome you to Gauteng. How are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome the Minister of Transport, Mr. Fikile Mbalula, the Chairperson of the PRASA Board, Ms. Helena Zamatlakana. We've got here our acting group CEO, Mr. David Mpilo, with the PRASA Executive Management. We also have here the MEC for Transport in Gauteng, Mr. Jacob Mamabolo. We welcome him. We also welcome the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Transport in Gauteng, And we'd like to also welcome other dignitaries that have been invited. I apologize if I missed anyone. We'd like to also welcome the public and the media. Thank you. I'm going to call upon now the chairperson of the PRASA board, Mr. Leonard Ramatlakane, just to give a short welcome. After that, it will be followed by an address by the minister, and we will take Q&A after that. Thank you. Over to you, chairperson.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Minister Mbalula, welcome to Pretoria Station. We are here and we have a train ride with the minister. And the purpose of the minister being here clearly is agency. Agency to bring back the service, recovery of service. He has seen this morning the train from Saulville to Pretoria. And this is not the end. It's just the beginning of actually doing the oversight work that the minister is doing over PRASA, board, as well as the management in terms of the work they do. So this morning we have seen this train, smooth ride to Pretoria from Saulville. We were in, we've seen the other one in Mobafana, we've seen the other one in Somerstown, in Cape Town. So we're going again next week in Cape Town against Central Line. But Mabula, thank you very much for welcoming us here, ensuring that we are working in an integrated way. Minister, I don't have much to say. All what we can say, Minister, here is that the commitment we have given, the commitment to make sure that we are recovered, the 10 corridors that the President has spoken about, we will recover them. We are going to work together to make sure that we recover those. We're not doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for the people of South Africa. There's an outcry for that. They're already spending more than 40% of their salary without rate. So that's a commitment we are giving, Minister. I don't have much to say other than to give it to you to have your impression in the media briefing of what we have seen and what we are promising to achieve in the 2022 year as we speak about the corridor of the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Mr. Ramatlakane. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start the media briefing. I'm going to call the Minister to come. He is not alone. He is with the Acting Director General, Mr. Mtunzimadia, and the DDG, Mr. Makaiba. Minister, over to you. You can address us, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, first Program Director, to the Chairperson of PRASA, Mr. Leonard Ramatlakane, the Acting CEO, Mr. Mwakoma Kaipia, members of the PRASA board who are with us here, whom I can't single out by name, and the MEC of Transport in Gauteng, Comrade Jacob Mamabulu, the generals and the leadership of South African Police Service who are with us here today, who are also part and parcel of us in terms of work here at PRASA. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, thank you very much for being here to follow our story of passenger rail services of South Africa. It is an important mission today once more to be here on a ride from Saulville as we recover the lines here at PRASA. You know, our biggest challenge at PRASA is a challenge of an organization that is very important for our people in terms of providing commuter rail to our people. We have seen ups and downs over the years. In the last 2 years, I've been here. We have witnessed the vandalism of state capture, irregular contracts, fruitless expenditure, corruption like it has never been seen before. We have been on the path of recovery and trying to get this place back on track. And in that process, we have witnessed, after COVID-19, the biggest vandalism that has never been seen before, where the cable and the stations were literally brought down and vandalized. Now, if you understand and follow the story of this place, you must differentiate between the vandalism that is an occurrence in the system all the time, and the vandalism that is grown into biggest proportions because of COVID-19. Because during COVID-19, we had to stop trains for the first time after maybe 40 years. These trains, yellow trains, were moving without doors, breaking down, but they were moving. But because of COVID and congestion on the trains and avoiding trains becoming mass spreader, at level 5 we stopped the trains. And now we are recovering those trains to come back. A train doesn't move like a taxi. It breaks down, tomorrow is back. It takes time. Don't confuse that corridor recovery to the modernization program that PRASA has got to implement. I see a lot of media and many of our people confuse the two. When we say 10 corridors must be recovered, it means it is those corridors that stop the service at the time of COVID level 5. That service must now come back. But there is a modernization program of PRASA. That modernization program means we have a vision that the trains will be old in the next 10 years. That modernization program is behind. So the modernization program is what you see with these new trains. These new trains are produced here in South Africa. They are funded by our government at Niger, Danota, Inekuruleni. That factory employs a lot of people. It is the factory that produced this train. It's part of the modernization program. What halted the modernization program also is because these trains, they move with electricity and then they are pulled by locomotives. The modernization program included the purchasing of locomotives from Spain, which we had a contract and we purchased locomotives. You remember the media said they are toll trains. We don't have toll trains. These are toll locomotives that were purchased back then. But it was found that the contract and the tender that was awarded to purchase those locomotives was irregular, meaning it was corrupt. It cost about 4 billion rand. Now, our modernization program is behind because we've got to get new locomotives, which is what the board of Mtate Ramachaka is dealing with. The same locomotives via the company called Steiger. At no price, bring them here so that we don't have a problem of locomotives within PRASA. At the present moment, for us to get these trains to be pulled up and down, we've got to lease trains from our sister company called Transnet. Transnet does not belong to me. It belongs to Pravin Gordon. So for me to do certain things, including locomotives, I hire those locomotives via PRASA from Transnet. But PRASA, in terms of its modernization program, was already moving towards the independence of having its own locomotives, which was scuppered by corruption. Now I'm getting that. That's why when I get those locomotives, I'll be able to get Shosholoza May to run and all of that, even though it runs on the platform of Transnet. But it will be at no cost to our company, which is PRASA. So, the modernization program again was affected by Siangena. Siangena, we spent billions on Siangena. Now, the program that we are implementing is the program of the recovery of the corridors. In the recovery of the corridors, we've got to build new stations. Now, in building stations in a cheaper way, we want stations like in Netherlands where you can construct a station through a container. It's very cheap. Very cheap. With 1 billion rand, all these stations that were smashed during COVID-19 will have long been up by now. But the problem here at PRASA is that people like to inflate prices, they steal. When something is supposed to cost 100 rand, they say it must cost 300 rand. So that is what takes us time. Even a simple thing. We gave them models here and say, go in Netherlands, they are building container stations. What do you want? There is no criminal who will steal a container. That thing is too heavy. Built nice, they look nice, and that's it. And then other stations through the modernization program, they will then be realized development in terms of modernization. We do have money, but we don't have capacity to spend the money. Now, PRASA is a capital-intensive company. It means here in PRASA we deal with money. It means procurement must be on point. If procurement is not on point, we are not going to spend money to fix things. Look at that train, just move. You see that train? There is a huge gap between the platform as you enter. It's a nice train. You need what is called station upgrade. And that is the money that they must spend and the tenders that they must give. Not corrupt tenders, proper. It means you need to have proper procurement processes within PRASA so that you are able to spend the money that is allocated. We have money to build these trains. Our government had a vision to build new trains because we knew these yellow trains, their lifespan is going to come to an end. What do we do now? Now we are revitalizing the stations. That is why we are at Saulville. And I'm going to explain to you. President said we're going to revitalize 10 corridors by end of this year. Those corridors revitalization is not part of modernization. It means the modernization program of PRASA must continue. When we modernize, we spend money, we create more jobs. But when we are looking at the money at the bank, and Tatera Matlakani says, hey, iningi le mali. Ngoba kazange wayibona ngamehlo wakhe. Hey, this money is a lot. You are killing the economy and growth because you are not spending money in the company to create more jobs and employ a lot of our people. But when they do that and they spend money, they build this capacity, then the company moves. And that is what is important. So we have not been fortunate at the goal to get things where we want them to be. But we are very much encouraged by the progress that we are making. 10 corridors, we've got 4 corridors that have been recovered, and then 3 that are running on diesel. And we are moving very hard in Cape Town to move the dwellers on the thing, but I can assure you that by June, July, the central line will be back. Mabupani is back, here in Tshwane. And I'm happy that our people have been protecting the line. Saulville, we just took a short trip. This is it. And then other corridors will be back. Naledi will be back. In the next coming weeks, we'll also go to KZN to see what work needs to be done. And I'm saying to PRASA and PRASA board, and as I've been saying, if you don't want to do the work, you will see the door. We're not going to keep furnitures here. By now, trains should be running all the 10 corridors back on track. You can't have these corridors running without the backup of a security plan. And security. I mean a security guy who understands deployment, what needs to be done to protect a place of this nature. Vandalism is not going to stop at PRASA. For as long as we've got criminals, we've got syndicates who think that copper cable, you know, to steal copper, they melt it in the laboratories in the townships and ship it out via Mozambique and East Asia. And it costs a lot of money. And it starts in the backyard in the townships. They cut the cables at night. That copper cable, they cut it. And they take it, they melt it. And some of the people who are doing this work are working right here at PRASA. So if you don't have a security plan, intelligence, forget. You will not win the war against crime here. As long as in Nisakasha umachingilani umuntu oma egate nathi upupasi uthe kumangena umuntu onganapasi umachingilani lo baba ungavuma ukungixabanisa nabelungu baba ngokushaya phela mina manje. A security person is a person who thinks, apply his mind. What do I need to protect this place? And then the board and the management deploy resources to protect the place. At the present moment, I see very positive signs of security at PRASA, and you can't win this alone without working with communities. Very positive signs at PRASA in terms of security. It's very good work that is being done here. That is exactly what we want. And I know, and I briefed the media that some of the posts at PRASA are depleted. People have been acting. I've reported in Parliament that the position of Metro Rail will be occupied is advertised. The position of CEO is advertised, even though there is a dispute around that, because the CEO have gone to arbitration. It will depend how far that goes. We've got an acting person in that. The position of PRASA Crest acting is advertised, and many other positions. So by May, all the positions will be occupied. The position of security is advertised. So all of those posts, by now I think they've closed. People will be employed in those positions. Lastly, here at PRASA, we've got what is called ghost workers. That's what has been reported, meaning there are people who have been paid, but they are nowhere. Now, PRASA implemented a program called Ziveze, and then that program is yielding results. It has discovered 3,000 plus and verified. Others are coming forward. They say they were on maternity leave. I ngisebenza emapholiseni angizange ngayibona maternity leave efana nayala ePRASA ayipheli maternity leave la umuntu uya ku maternity leave for a year ne-sick leave zalana zipheli. So other people have been coming and saying I was on sick leave and all of that. Now it is sitting at 2,000. PRASA is implementing a forensic. They are supposed to report to Parliament and also report to me. Meaning you've got more or less 2,000 ghost people. Ghosts who are just in the system earning money and they are just being paid. But they are not reporting for work. Abaziwa. Kuti basebenza kuphi. That's the problem here. So Ziveze is gonna smoke them out. And then even deal with those who are implementing that scam. Because ghost work can happen by collusion inside. So this company did not have a head. So when we say this place is a mess, we don't talk theory. But that mess has been fixed. And the board is hands-on with regard to all of those particular issues. So the most important thing for us is to get the recovery back on track, and then the corridors working, and then the modernization plan being implemented. So we don't stop the other one at the expense of the other. They can run in tandem. I have said to the board, I no longer want irregular contracts at PRASA. I know they are going to issue a lot of contracts with a lot of money. But I no longer want Shufambo at PRASA. I no longer want Siangena. I don't want, who's that engineer, Tim Kulu here? In this Ziveze program, there are about 60 foreign nationals in the system. 60 or plus or minus. And a booking who are in the system. Also, Ziveze is vezing those things at PRASA. That tells you that you are just coming in without papers, you get yourself in the system and you are employed. And that's what has happened. So why wouldn't the company collapse? It had to collapse because so this morning, when we come here, we're very much on track in terms of this work. And from where I am, I'm very impatient because I see in the system that some of the things can be done with the speed, but PRASA management at some point is failing us. And there will come a day where I come here and dismiss everybody. With the board, of course, I don't have such powers to dismiss anybody. But if ever I was really interfering, certain people will not be working here. I get reports regularly from the chair and the board, and I'm urging them, without fear or favor, move with speed, including fixing the organogram of PRASA. This place is bloated, it's top heavy. We are paying a lot of salaries, and a lot of money goes to the salaries, but we don't see the value. We've got a lot of employees, but we don't see the value. So we need to deal with those things from the point of view of the board and the management, and fill up the vacancies. And I've not only been assured, and I will be looking at the corporate plan, the new corporate plan now, that must meet the deadlines that we have agreed upon. We've got to run this place like the World Cup. We can't afford to miss the deadlines. That's what is important. The program we've started from Mabupane, going upwards to the Central Line in the Western Cape. You will have seen in the media, we have already started a program to move the people off the tracks and to get the trains running. We've got a limited service that is running between Nyanga, and then we're opening up. Because by the time we resolve the settlement of those people, the trains will not be running now for over, it will be 10 years. So we need to get the trains running, and we ask those people that your issues are being attended to, of settlement, open up the space, and we'll work with the police to move them. Not to move them away, but they must move away from the tracks so that the trains can operate. I can no longer afford Central Line not working any longer. Northern Line, I will be there in the next coming week. Southern Line, I was there, it is running. So the trains are back. They are back. And you are going to see that in operation as we move forward. And the old trains must be destroyed in the scrapyard. They must be destroyed. So this place is going to be fresh. As we move along, bring in new people and all of that. And I've said to the board, we want good people who know something about trains. We don't want just to get everybody because they speak English. We want people who work here. Now, if you work, you are my friend. If you don't work, we don't recover the services. No, it's not possible. We've got to work hard to get these trains back on track. In the next coming weeks, I will be launching a brand new rail policy, which has got to have an impact overall in the rail environment in South Africa. It's a game changer. Because for some of the things to happen, including a Transnet, you are going to need to work with the private sector to bring their money here for us to get things going. We know that the logistical environment of the rail situation is dire in our country. And the new rail policy is opening us up to work with the private sector to bring in new innovation. Because there's heavy trucks on the road. We need to move from there to rail. But where is the rail? So we need to move there. The branch lines that we've got to work with the private sector again in that regard for concessions to get that going. So what is coming is a revolution. A revolution that is going to have a huge impact on employment of our people. So when we don't modernize, we don't spend money at PRASA, we are holding back on job creation. And that is what we must understand. So I think we are one with the board and the management about where we are going. As for me, as I conclude my point here, I'm very happy about what we're introducing here and implementing. All what we need to do, we need all hands on deck. We need focus, we need discipline, we need management that is able to ensure that we meet deadlines. Not all over the place. Focus that in the next 3 months, I'm going to get the trains back on track and trains running and running on time. That's what is important. And then fixing small things. Modernization will be running alongside. And that is what is important. Ino Kodongwana, when I met with him, as I conclude, he said to me, the Minister of Finance, Minister Mbalula, just show me one corridor that PRASA is back on track. And that was 2 months ago when he was appointed. Because he got in with a lot of energy, but I can see the trousers are going down every day because the problems of this country are many. And then I said, no, Minister, I'm going to show you. And in less than 2 months, I've got the biggest corridor running here, Mabupai. And then today I'm at Saulville. Tomorrow I will be in the northern line in the Cape, and then I'll be in the central line. He said, just show me one that we are serious about bringing back corridors. Because I know you don't have the capacity to spend the money you've got. And then I raised that with the board. And I said, how do we address this issue? Capacity does not only have to come within PRASA, it can come even from outside. It can come from outside. Bring the skill that you don't have into PRASA. As the minister, I will support you. I will support you. Bring people who can run the company. As long as you align with thieves and you think that they will help you in this place, this company will never run. As long as we will not run with the speed we want to run. Because every tender in Alimaki, iya ko mani ba re ke ya minister e ke ya mani hey a o seele ka bo. This is corruption. We must get rid of corruption, because corruption is a cancer that kills the system. Things are not moving, and then people blame government, but government allocates money. And managers are failing us in the system. They are failing the government because they are not doing what they are employed to do. U create tender jika mo systeming ikarura lukua ball because I saw cream ngayo. Yeki amani. Hey, why? The training is at amai. No tender yete I saw kai. Hey, tender yete I saw because it has not gotten the eyes yet. Can't you, when you are in the system, tenders must move and the eyes must be blind. As long as you've got the capacity to deliver, things must move. But the right people also are not getting the right business. That's why things collapse. That's why Ronaldo put home. Because the companies that are fixing roads are not getting the tenders. The tenders are not going to the right people. And that is the problem. And when I say to you, fix the things cheaper with containers, no. You want every station to cost 10 million. Why? A station fixed by a container with the model of Netherlands can't cost 10 million. It's not true. Whoever station says but container mobile thing, Netherlands, it's very cheap, that thing, and very nice and secured. Why? Because they want to inflate prices, they want to steal. They don't want cheap things that take us forward. So the service, so if managers are not going to manage decisively in this place, PRASA will never move with the speed we want. It will never. So we will put an eye of a hawk on these processes and ensure that things move with speed. If a deadline is not met, there must be a cogent reason why it is not met. We must get a cogent reason. Why is this station and the operation not back on track? You know, I went to Cape Town Station Revitalization Program, and when we lived there, somebody was telling me when I was living that not to revitalize that small station is 10 million. 10, I counted, 100 million, gone. But I realized that this money, if it was properly, you know, and then you justify it with paper trade. You know, it's not right. And then I realized that this money, 100 million, we could have done a lot of work with this money. But if we have the right managers. So we've got to look at these things properly. And they must be done properly. And then we must put our foot down where we see the wrongdoing. But I want to say that if we work together and recover the services with the speed that we want, and with what we are doing right now, of which most of the work has been in the pipeline, we are going to go very far in this company. I can tell you that in the near future, in the next 2 months, Mr. Mpelo and your team will be very far. The work that we are doing here in a very short space of time is exactly what we want, Kauleza. And I'm sure that is what the chairperson also will be doing. And he knows I bother him all the time. How far are you with this and that? How far are you with this and that? And what support do you want from the minister? And that is what is important. So there's never been hassles in terms of support. And I think let's focus on that and focus on the task. And the war room must be able to tick the box and hold managers accountable to say, PRASA Crest, you have said at Saulville, you will recover the line, the next line will be recovered. What is the problem? The CEO must ask. The problem is when you have a CEO of a company who thinks that he must compete with CEO, stay in the office and monitor the organization and look at the dashboard. They don't move from one restaurant to the other. Mautungapa CEO was a PRASA of a restaurant. Mautungapa CEO se parenia se. Mautungapa CEO se na club se konka. Likai watwali. And so on. Company collapse. We have Mautu yana uzuze lendo dayona. Sitake kangaka madoda yona ijiga jiga njela. A CEO is a man who goes to an office, he manages his team and follow up on deadlines. Akagwali yonke indawo. Makaphume office, he's going to inspect what his people have told me. At Saulville, I'm going to check that myself. The CEO, he looks at the finances, he looks at the program yakhe ukuthi iyahamba, so that akwazi ukuhlohla cabangela akabikho yonke indawo being called by Minos everywhere, anywhere, anyhow. I want to see you. No, wait, I'm coming. No. If somebody wants to see you, he must see you at 12 o'clock midnight or during the week. I'm busy. I'm trying to recover corridors here. You can't be all over Mount Jike Santenu to your ten statulo nangu na you as Linganese. Dear my daughter. When are the trains going to run? Because this man is here all over the place. Mautu ya jika ngape taxi rank na uya kona uosinya. Funaka hlale mjanji ajikeleze office, hold his team accountable so that there is a leader in the office. If you want the kids to pass in the school, there must be a principal who's running a school. And that is how you are going to see progress. You will never see progress where Kukwa Zenze. You will never. So I want to thank you very much for this work, and I'm very much encouraged by it. And I see the trains running, but we are far away from achieving what we want to achieve. And this is achievable, and we are going to make it happen. Thank you very much.
Minister, thank you so much for those encouraging words. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving towards the end of the program. I would like to also state that we are inviting the media to ask questions to the Minister to follow up on that speech. Minister, if there are any questions. Minister, we do have the United Commuters Voice here with us. We've got some councillors here with us. I just thought we should acknowledge them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to and the chairperson of the portfolio committee in the Gauteng legislature, Mr. Gregory Schleerman. We welcome you, sir. We are now going to take some questions. We're going to take in a round of 3, and then the minister will answer. I don't know if anyone has any questions. It's not a problem if you don't have any questions. We would like to also proceed to the final item of the program. I don't know if you have any. All right, if you can just introduce yourself, your name, surname, and the organization you're from. I don't know if there's a roving mic around. We do have a question at the front. We can share this microphone.
Hi, Minister Sbahle from Jacaranda FM. So in terms of these ghost employees, has anybody been taken to task over the matter? I mean, to say that these people are in the system? That's all I want to ask.
I don't know if there's, we've got another question, Minister.
Hi, Minister.
You want to answer that? Ghost.
Minister, you said your conversation with the finance minister suggested that you had to get these trains running within 2 months. But I understand that that hasn't been happening for the last 2 years. What have been the discrepancies? What has been lacking? It seemed that you've got them running within 2 months.
Thank you, Minister. Over to you.
No, I didn't say we agreed to get the trains running within 2 months. Let me explain again. The reason you see the trains not running is because at level 5, we stopped the trains. Because trains were going to become a massive spreaders of coronavirus. In doing so, what we encountered during that period, we saw intensified and massive vandalism. Train stations were stripped off and were brought down. Cables that were left were actually vandalized. So we are now at a stage where there is no longer disaster, where at level 1 we're supposed to bring back the trains, including the yellow trains and the new trains that you see. Now, that particular program was affected because the entire corridors where these trains are running were brought down. So the Minister of Finance, Minister Kodongwa, said to me, I want you and PRASA to prove to me, just show me one corridor that is operational. I said, it was in 2 months when he said that. I said, no, I will show you. In less than 2 months, Mabopane was operational and is still operational now. I was answering the question to him to say that all the corridors will be back. And that is why in the speech of the president talked about before end of the year, 10 corridors will be back to life. Meaning all the corridors where you used to see the trains, they will be back. Now to stop a train and to get it back, it is not only a process, it takes a duration of time. So it would have been easy to bring them back after the levels have been shut down, but it is difficult because the place has been vandalized. So bringing back corridors is not a modernization program. It is money that we are spending on revitalizing the system that has collapsed because of vandalism. That should not have happened if we had security to guard the place. For instance, there is violence that erupted in July. And then I called the chair and I say to the chair and the former group CEO, I'm certain those people who are burning this country, they are going to burn Bramfontein, they are going to burn Volmaten, and they are going to burn Park Station. You could have imagined if PRASA did not protect those places, and Park Station as we speak, and this station, by the way, is brought down in flames and in ashes. How much was it going to cost us to bring it to life? It means now we've got to divert from what we were supposed to do to modernize the place to spend money on criminality. They managed to defend Park Station. It was attacked, but criminals did not succeed. They managed to attack everywhere because PRASA security stood their ground. And that is what has actually happened. When we said to the previous administrator and the board, we are shutting down the trains, go and get security at PRASA so that we protect the infrastructure. They did not do that. It did not happen. Now, there is a man who's talking to the newspapers here. He's saying he's a general. He was responsible at that time. Go and ask him before he presents to the newspapers, what contingency plan did he put in PRASA to defend the infrastructure that was totally vandalized to zero? Nothing. All what he was interested in here, he was tenders from one person to the other in terms of security tenders, not to protect this place. We are in this mess because of people like him. And I won't mention him by name because he will sue me. Because I've been sued a lot, General, even by the police, about my previous sins. So, so, and I don't have money to defend myself because when they see you these days, they say, sue him in his personal capacity, not as a minister. So, but I went now, government. So, and this is these people who talk about securities and everything, one day I'm going to answer them. I'm going to tell them who they are, what they've been doing here in PRASA. So, the Minister of Finance said, show me and PRASA that you can run one corridor. So, he was saying to me that trains have come to a standstill. Just show us that there is work that has been done. So there is work that has been done. Corridors have been recovered. We said 10, but we'll go beyond 10. From the projections that I get from the acting group CEO, but I want to stick to 10. I want to open the trains in Naledi, in Soweto to get running. I want the trains in KwaZulu-Natal to run. I want the trains everywhere to run. And that is why I'm chastising them that they must meet the deadlines. The modernization program that has been scuppered by corruption, there is money there in billions that is allocated. Part of that modernization program is the program that is building these new trains that we are seeing, Istimela Sabantu and all of that. Because we envisaged in the system that the yellow trains will have, expired, and then we'll bring in the new trains. So the blue trains, I don't know why they made them blue, because they were supposed to be something else. But the blue trains are going to be everywhere in South Africa, and they are modernized. And I've put you not once, many times inside them to see. And I've took you also to Gibela to see where these trains are made. So there has always been a vision here. But that vision was scuppered by corruption. Because what if Shifambo was properly implemented? Prices not bloated. We wouldn't be standing here talking about locomotives. If Siangena or Siabangena technologies was not scuppered by corruption, we wouldn't be standing here and having problems about, we would be advanced. Now we have gone backward. We are now competing with Kenya and then with other countries who are struggling to come up. South Africa, we should be way up and everybody coming after us. The rest of the African continent, in terms of infrastructure built on trains, they said, South Africa, we are giving you this work to build trains for the rest of Africa because you've got the capacity. There is Niger. And Transnet already is supplying trains to the rest of the African continent, not from China. These trains here, they are not from China. We are building them from here in South Africa. We are creating jobs here in South Africa. Here in South Africa. So what I'm saying is that we must differentiate recovery of corridors and the modernization program, which is what this board is expected to implement. I am saying the recovery of corridors by now, we should have gotten all those corridors back if we are focused on our task. Ghost workers, I'm going to ask the acting group CEO and the chair to respond to that. But all what I can say is that we said to PRASA in our compact, there are problems at PRASA in terms of your human resource. There are people who are working there whom you don't know where do they come from, they are going or coming. Can you please implement a program at PRASA called ZIVES, meaning wherever station you are employed at, come forward with your manager. So that is the program that they are implementing, and that we reported to Parliament, and that we talked about. So David can talk about the details of the program. Where it started, where is it going? Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. As you've said, when we started, we wanted to verify who is in the system. We've got a number of 17,200. So we issued a communication to say people must come through, not only to verify themselves, but with their qualifications as well, signed off by their managers, upon which, at a particular date, only 14,000 had come through. So you can imagine the difference between the 17,200 and the 14,000 at a particular point. We then followed up with a communication that said, if you are not coming through within this particular date, no salaries you're not earning. It is then after that some people started surfacing. We're including people that are claiming, as the Minister said, have been on sick leave. Others were in the comorbidity space that couldn't come through. Others were claiming because they were in the remote areas that couldn't come through. So there's that number that's now come through. As the Minister said, we are around 2,000 more or less, where there are people that are still not physically verified. What are we doing about it? We've now handed that over to forensics, because we now need to dig further to see where does this come from. Because people don't hire themselves, right? There must be something that's happening at the back of that. And that will lift off who was involved, how much money, when did it start. And I'd like to come through and come forward when that report has come through to come report on that. And I'd like that time to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Mpilo. Thank you, Minister. I don't know if we have any other questions from the floor before we wrap. All right, in the instance where there are no questions, we are going to do one-on-ones. The Minister is available for one-on-ones after the briefing. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the program. We thank you so much for coming. I don't know if the Minister wants to do vote of thanks or the chairperson. No vote of thanks. We are going to proceed to the lounge, Minister, and your delegates. MEC Mambogolo will be moving to the lounge where there will be refreshments served. We thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming through. Thank you.
Just